What happens when we die? Does consciousness remain? What is the purpose of life? New research into near-death experiences leads to some startling conclusions. You have got to tell all the old people so that they won't be afraid to die. 5-year-old Chris told his doctor after was resuscitated after drowning. His father lost control of his car he was driving at night and plunged into the freezing waters of a river near Seattle. As they sunk into icy waters, his mother managed to pull his older brother to safety, but it took another 15 minutes to rescue Chris. When he was brought to shore, his breathing had stopped, and there was no heartbeat. Miraculously, doctors managed to resuscitate Chris. When he woke up, he told them, "I went into a huge noodle when I died. Well, it must have been a tunnel because I don't think noodles have rainbows in them." What Chris experienced was a near-death experience, or NDE. This is a pattern of events people can experience when coming close to death. These are some of the features: feeling comfortable and free of pain, a sensation of leaving the body, sometimes being able to see the physical body while floating above it, the mind functioning more clearly and more rapidly than usual, a sensation of being drawn into a tunnel or darkness, a brilliant light, sometimes at the end of the tunnel a sense of overwhelming peace, or absolute, unconditional love. This is how Grace Bubulka Hatmaker, a nurse, experienced her NDE. "As I neared the warm, glowing radiance ahead of me, I felt pure ecstasy. I was in the beginning of the light. I was part of the light. It was as if I had come home. I had come home to the beginning of not just me but the beginning of all eternity." According to traditional science, when the heart stops beating and breathing comes to a standstill, the brain shuts down and consciousness ceases. That school of thought believes that without the brain, consciousness is impossible. A new study tests a different theory, that consciousness is not confined to the brain, and the mind can continue to exist even when the brain ceases to function. This study is known as AWARE and is led by Dr. Sam Parnia, the leading scientist currently studying near-death experiences. It will examine 1,500 survivors of cardiac arrest and involves the collaboration of 4 major medical centers through Europe, Canada, and the US. During a cardiac arrest, all 3 signs of clinical death can be present: absence of spontaneous breathing and heartbeat, as well as loss of neural activity in the brainstem and the cerebral cortex. Then follows a period in which medical efforts may be able to restart the heart and reverse the dying process. Here's a mystery: some people wake up after resuscitation and describe near-death experiences. Even though, according to medical knowledge, no thought processes can be going on during a loss of brain activity. Laurelyn Martin was at the height of a promising tennis career when she had a routine surgical procedure that went catastrophically wrong. Here's her account: "The nurse helped me slide onto the operating table and gave me a motherly look. 'Don't worry. We'll make this a most pleasant experience for you.' With those reassuring words, I drifted off to sleep. I awakened and found myself floating above my body, looking down, watching the attempts of the medical team trying to revive the lifeless form below. The surgical team was frantic. The color red was everywhere, splattered on their gowns, splattered on the floor, and a bright pool of a flowing red substance in the now wide-open abdominal cavity. I floated up through blackness where there was no fear, no pain, but instead a sense of well-being. I was enveloped by total bliss in an atmosphere of unconditional love and acceptance. In the distance, a horizon of glorious white, golden light beckoned me forward. As the brilliance increased and the rays stretched to meet me, I felt that time, as we know it, was non-existent. Time and existence were a blending and a melding of the past, present, and future into this one moment. Every part of my being was satisfied with an unconditional love beyond description." The experiences of Laurelyn and others show that people having a near-death experience are lucid and can reason and remember. This has led drive. Parnia, to say, recent medical studies in cardiac arrest patients have indicated that the mind and consciousness may be what remains of us after death. What can near-death experiences teach us about the purpose of life? Many people who have experienced NDEs say that they were shown the purpose of life. These life lessons are remarkably similar. Take Laurel and Martin's experience, for example. The message was, love. Above and beyond anything else, one must first learn to love oneself non-judgmentally and unconditionally. Then one will actually love all people and all things the same way.